Well, I think it's going to be a very typical West Virginia basketball game in a sense of you kind of always know what you get when you play them, and it doesn't vary too much. I mean, they have great guards, great guards that can score the basketball, really 1 through 4. And, they're just very physical. So I think it will be a good experience and a enlightening one probably for our young players. But good to get one game under our belt. I definitely, as I look back on film, thought that we did some very uncharacteristic things with the basketball against Oklahoma State. Probably, hindsight, a little bit of, I don't want to say jitters, needless to say, but just trying to do too much in your first conference game and young players that have not been in it. But we were fortunate to get a win, and we'll try to build on that Sunday.
I was going to ask, is that probably, you think, because it was the first conference game and they probably thought a little bit, okay, step it up some?
Yeah, I think just trying to do too much, instead of just simplifying things. Maybe the older players actually feeling like they had to do more because it was conference play, and then the young ones having the jitters. You kind of put those two things together, and it created the disastrous amount of turnovers really on both teams' part. But I do think that we've settled in a little bit the last couple of days. We watched a lot of film yesterday. Today, thought we looked a little more purposeful with the things that we were doing, so I was pleased with today.
Destiny looks like a completely different player, maybe even a different person right now than a year ago at this time. What's been the biggest difference for her? Maturity, comfort, I would say. When you really reflect back on Destiny's kind of journey to Texas, she didn't even know us. She came here with really trusting her circle of people back in California because I had a relationship with some of them previously, and Tina did. So I think that it was sort of a leap of faith for her to come here, and then when it didn't go so well, that faith got tested a little bit. And I think that she just was able to get herself grounded again and say, hey, I'm okay, I'm going to try this and do the best I can, and she's made the most of her situation right now. Really proud of her. You've made some changes at the 5 spot in the last few games. What would you like to see from your players? Maybe Jotari, for example, she's started a lot that maybe hasn't been there lately.
I thought Jotari gave us really good minutes against Oklahoma State, and one thing I appreciate is that she stayed the course and she hasn't pouted about the change, and maybe it was actually even something maybe good for her to be able to come off the bench with less pressure. And I will say that I think Miday's energy and defensive energy in particular has given us a lift. We needed to start games better. If you've kept up with us, the starts haven't been kind of what I've expected, and I think giving a little bit different defensive presence to the game to start it has been a positive. I wouldn't say that I'm locked into that lineup. I think we're at a point right now where we need to gauge who's practicing with purpose. I think sometimes it's going to be matchups. So we could have some different lineups that won't be based on like the fact that somebody's doing something wrong. We're trying to win basketball games, and whatever we have to do, we'll do.
A lot of people around here wonder, the point of no return seems like it's going to be here pretty soon as far as Sedona is concerned. You don't want to just play the entire conference season and then stick her in there.
Right.
Is there a timeline for, you don't want her to miss until such and such a game before you decide not to bring her back?
I don't have a timeline at all. I think we're on Sedona's timeline, so it's still her decision. Ultimately, no matter when she gets released, which she will get released.
She's not been released?
No. She's not been released to come back to the court. If and when that happens, it will be a family decision on their part, and I support whatever they decide to try to do. But again, we haven't gotten to that place yet.
Under the breaking a leg in the manner she did, is it not miraculous, but is it amazing that she's come as far as she has? She's participating in things.
I would say yes. She would say no. I think if you ask Sedona and her family, I think they just know how special she is, and that they would have maybe expected more sooner or whatever. But if you're a coach and you've witnessed injuries and catastrophic injuries like she had, I mean, I think it is pretty miraculous that she's where she is, and it's a testament to her work ethic, our trainers, and her attitude about things. But again, we've got to worry about West Virginia, and she's staying the course, and I'm real proud of her.
With the things that have happened, 3 of your top players go down with injuries, like right at the season, even before the season. Do your expectations for the season for the team lower because you didn't have her, you didn't have LaShawn, you didn't have Joyner for a lot? I mean, do you level your expectations at all?
I wouldn't say level my expectations, because I expect to win, and I think we have a lot of great players, and it's enough that next man up really needs to be ready to play. What I've probably tempered a little bit is I've tried to be a little more patient. I wouldn't say that I'm successful at that all the time, and I've tried to understand that we're going to have some bumps. And I mean, I talked to the team today just about the journey that our football team went on. And you look at a team that lost to Maryland the first game, and everybody wrote them off after that very first game. And to see what the final product was, it was pretty fun to witness. And they had a lot of bumps and bruises along the way also, but it's a journey when you're in a season, and really the finished product is what you're trying to get to. And if we do that in the manner that we want to do it in, then I'm proud of this team no matter what happens.
Coach, how tough of a place is Morgantown to play for you?
It's real tough, and I think someone told me they're having a white out or yellow out or something like that, so I guess they're looking forward to Texas coming into town. Tough place to play. They're kind of right on top of you. Their crowds are great, and they get energized off of that crowd. And those guys can really shoot from the perimeter, and they get a little pep in their step, and they're hard to guard.
Sugar's playing really well. Did she need for the other seniors to eventually leave before we saw what she can do?
No, not at all. I think that the first couple of games, I mean, it was kind of interesting because you sort of saw her take over really when LaShawn got hurt. But I think it was more of her, that was early, obviously early in the season. And I think it was not as, I mean, it looked like the timing of it was that LaShawn got hurt and now she took over. But I think it was more just, we've played a few games now and I'm good. This is my team now. And that needed to happen like it does for any point guard or quarterback. I mean, you need to get a few games under your belt before you realize, hey, I'm in charge here, and this is my team. But I will say that there's been a couple of things that have helped her. One, just realizing I belong in this spot. The other thing is, really the progression of destiny has helped Shug, I think. Just in a sense of now we're at the point now where I think we can play her off the ball a little bit and take some of that pressure and let her it sort of frees her up a little bit, let her come back to the point. And I think that as we move along, and even just the progress of Joanne is going to help Shug a lot.
You mentioned Danny with the transition from a new school to this school. She looks more comfortable in my eyes. Mm-hmm. You tell me, in your eyes, is she a better player for you now than she was a month ago?
I think so.
I mean, reasons being?
Not thinking so much. I think she's, it's just obviously for a senior, the progression is quicker than it would be for a freshman because she's more mature and she's able to kind of take the peaks and valleys and all of that in stride, and that's helped her. She's a very mature individual that knew that this was purposeful. And so she's kind of been able, I think, because she knew the purpose of why she was doing it, it wasn't because she was an unhappy person. I think she really wanted to challenge herself in a different way, and so I think she understands that, and so she's been able to sort of embrace it. But her comfort definitely seems better to me.